Hello, friends. Good morning. How are you today? Hope you had a good rest. My team yesterday told me that they want to encourage me to always go straight to the point when we get live because of the repurposing of the videos and others who will come in to watch later on. It seems as though my stories are too long prior to the real crux of the subject. So I'll just delve straight into what we've got for today. Yesterday, we're talking about emotional intelligence, and we picked it up from how important, essential, and how it relates to everybody in every front and areas of our lives. Additionally, I gave us my definition of emotional intelligence that you cannot find anywhere in the world. In explaining that definition, I did say that emotional intelligence, in my view, is broken into two parts. Your part that relates to yourself, and then your part that relates to others. And I did say that emotional intelligence is the sense, the wisdom, the knowledge of knowing yourself, which relates to your weakness, your strength, abilities, inabilities, propensities, tendencies, triggers, etc., etc. And then knowing how to manage and control them. Additionally, it is the wisdom, the sense, the ability of knowing others' tendencies, strengths, weaknesses, triggers, etc., etc. And then knowing how to manage them. The difference between both is the first one, which has to do with you, manage and control. But the one for others, you can only manage. You can only cope, adjust to their lifestyle, to who they are, manage them, not control them. And I gave some examples, definitions, illustrations. I think I gave one personal story on personal management about yourself as regards to emotional intelligence. Let me finish up with that line of thoughts, and then I lead us into emotional intelligence as regards to others and managing them. You see, when we have life experiences, and I also said yesterday, based on life experiences, some people have lost relationships, business opportunities. Some people have lost great things that would have come their way because they have not been able to manage their emotion. They've not been able to tame that monster called anger. They've not been able to understand and know the limits in which they need to put their tendencies into. And as a result, they've gone overboard and they've lost it. And I also said some people have been placed a cap. A cap has been placed, a roof has been put over them at their places of employment. Because of the way they live or behave, they are very sporadic. They can explode at just the slightest word of anger. Their teams cannot cope with them. Their bosses can't even tolerate them. We know in organizational etiquette, you don't send email in anger. You don't send an email you cannot defend when you're called. I remember one time I was working as a facility manager somewhere, and then my then boss was fond of, he would give me an instruction. When I carry it out and it doesn't backfire, everything goes well. But once it backfires, he wasn't responsible for that. So on one classic occasion, that thing happened. I was bitter, I was upset, I was unhappy. So I sent him an email and I gave it to him back to back, citing examples. My points were valid. My concern was genuine, but the tone was just bad, disrespectful and rude. So I sent that mail, and then, I know when you've gotten angry like that, you've done something stupid, it's as though you feel pacified. But you've just become, if you were dumb, you've just become dumber than you were, if that English is right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Gamma for subscribing. Thank you so much. Bravo. Thanks. Now, I think about a week later on, my boss sent for me to the head office. We're in the boardroom. I was sitting on this side. He called the group admin manager. He was sitting next to me. He called the MD of one of the subsidiaries of the company. He was sitting on the other hand. And then my boss was sitting here. And as the meeting would start, he shared an A4 paper to everybody, like a letter, something typed and printed. Sent to everybody, as he gave it to everyone and then told us to read. He gave us about 3 to 5 minutes to read. And when I took my own sheet, it was my email. Nasty mail, rude mail, very disrespectful email. I was ashamed of myself. It was as though the ground should open and swallow me up. I just disappeared from that boardroom. There was no need for defense. This email had sold me out. On what base or ground do you want to justify this email? My boss didn't even have to say anything. Now, he was the guilty. He was the one who caused everything. But at this point, I was now apologetic, begging him. And I remember, I don't know how or why he did, as in why he picked or the yardstick he used. In picking the people he brought in there, it so happened, these two people, even though they were way senior to me in the organization at the time, these were people who respected me very highly. These were people who spoke very highly of me. I didn't need to be told. I knew. And in fact, the admin manager at the time happened to be a very close family friend, close to my wife and I. And even the MD too, as in the other MD of the other subsidiary, very close to my wife and I. I don't know how this man knew these people were close to my family. And these were the people he brought there. And of course, you can imagine what such people would say. Tim, I'm highly disappointed. I expected more from you. I didn't know you are like this. You can go on and trying to think about what those people must have said. Black magic, isn't it? So you can imagine how I felt. And I actually learned that by experience. Never you send an email in anger. Haven't said that. So we need to see how to tame ourselves, manage our emotions, manage our triggers. Now, to the other side, emotional intelligence is also the wisdom, the ability to know. I'll pick that first word, know. Knowledge, they say, is power. But then knowledge acted upon is even a more power. When you know something about somebody and you use that knowledge to deal with them, some people, they deserve to be eaten with a long spoon. Some people, when you're relating with them, if it's a phone call, you put your phone on auto record. That is part of emotional intelligence. Some people, when you know how they behave, how they turn words around, you won't always get a third party involved in such a conversation. Now, when you know that this is how this person handles situation, and you've experienced it in the past, and you now know that where did this come from? And your wife rattles, papa, 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 papa. I don't say women are like that, but if you observe particularly, your wife is like that. Just one little thing, she begins to talk and talk and talk, and you don't like that talking thing. You don't like it. And then you now know, on the other hand, you have this tendency, you have this propensity. You've never done it. Maybe you've thought it once or twice, but you've never done it. You don't think you will do it. But you have the tendency of raising your hand at her. Because you don't like it. It triggers you. It just turns your brain upside down. She just begins to talk and talk and talk and talk. And what she's even saying does not even concern the matter at hand. And then she now begins to cite examples of what happened in 1912, what you did back then. You need to know how to manage your emotion and then know how to manage, not control her. What do you need to do? Ask yourself. You're the one in that situation, in that scenario. Find what works for you. But you will be the most dumbest man if you ever raise your hand on your wife. It's better you are rude by walking out of her. If you can't manage yourself, if you can't hold yourself, it's better you walk out of that scenario than you raise your hand. Let me just give one simple practical example. I think I should be trying to close now. We might move this matter again to tomorrow or maybe another time. There was a day we're coming from the office because when fuel scarcity was quite serious in Nigeria back then, so my wife and I decided to always drive in the same car. So my office was before hers. So we'll drive to my office, then she'll take the car to her office, and then I wait when she's done. She comes, picks me, and then we'll go home. So this particular day, we had this argument. I can't remember what the matter was, but it was a very serious, talking here back and forth. And we're at the traffic light. I can't remember the place. Maybe around this Jaconde Elf, axis. I can't remember the place. And then we're at the traffic light, and then the talk was back and forth. I can't remember the subject now. And that's what happens in life. The matter that causes the insanity, you will remember. But when you've done something so stupid, you've done something so bad, at that point, you will remember what caused it. But the consequence of what you've done lives on. So, as the light was about changing to amber, I then told my wife, let's stop this talk. And of course, for me, one of the things I've learned over time to use in stopping such argument is not to say a word. So I don't say a word. So with that, I either take off oxygen or fuel or whatever it is to kill that fire. So I don't say a word. So she had a point and trying to make me say her point, which was very valid. But I didn't say a word. But I wanted us to stop that conversation. So this was extreme, actually. Don't try it. So as the light changed to amber, I told her, now let's stop this conversation and not say a word or change it. Let's stop this. So I repeated it about 3 times till the thing changed to green, and we're in front of the queue. As it changed to green, I pressed on the gas. So I slammed on the brake. Where cars were running, speeding, trying to beat the traffic light, I stopped them. Extremely dangerous. And of course, I was checking the side mirror. No matter how quick I could have checked the side mirror, any car could have hit us from behind. And then as I stopped, she was scared and frightened. Move. I said, will you stop? Say, yes, I'll stop. And then I moved the car. From, let's say, that was at Jaconde. I don't know this bus stop. Let's say Jaconde. It was before, maybe Elf, because we're still close to Marwa. As I moved, she didn't say a word. I didn't say a word until we got to VGC. Until we got to VGC. And as we got to VGC traffic, what she did was this. She knows I don't like being tickled, right? It makes me laugh. So as we got to VGC, she just popped me on the side. I was driving, so she just popped me on the side. I busted into laughter. That was the end of the conversation. So you need to find out what works for you. Don't go to the extreme like I did, but find out what works for you, including with your boss and all that. Lastly, before we close this session, there's what is called EBA. I learned this from my very good friend, Nia Disonya. Emotional bank account. Now, this is really not so related to emotional intelligence, but it also has its role in it. Now, you're finding out that this person, when I call this person, doesn't pick. I'll call, sometimes 3 days, does not pick or it does not respond to my messages. Well, how much have you deposited into that person's emotional bank account? How much credit have you got in that person's emotional bank account? You're speaking to your boss, asking for a favor, and he turns it down. And your other colleague goes to the same person, asking for something similar, and she gets it. What's the difference? It might be the emotional bank account of that individual has some credits, and yours is actually on debit. You're actually owing that man. You're not in that man's good book. So you want to find out as you go out today. Invest good aroma. Invest good memory. Invest good investment into other people's emotional bank account, so that when they remember you for good. And on the day you will need to make some withdrawals, you are able to find some credits in their bank account, in their emotional bank account. I'm Dr. Tim Atimoe. I hope you found the session we had today very useful, helpful, and quite practical. Thank you so much, and do have a blessed and fabulous day. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Be well.